What is going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com, and I got a free pick for you from this Minnesota versus Indiana college basketball matchup going down on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Before we get to that free pick, if you were looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, the ones that I have the most money on every day, you can head to Pickdawgz.com and click the premium picks or the experts tab at the top of the page. You can also click the link in the description of this video below to get taken directly to my capper page. We give out so much free pick content here at Pickdawgz that you know the plays in the premium side are the best of the best. So Pickdawgz Premium is for. But we've also got our inner circle. It's something we mentioned a lot in our videos as of late. It's something that's not for everyone. It's for those who are placing larger bets of at least $1,000 or more per game, and that is the requirement to be, accepted into this service. But we've had a lot of big bettors and high rollers join this club already. Excited with the early, releases, the bankroll management, the one-on-one coaching. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, text the number on the screen. We'll get you some more information. But let's get to this one between the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Indiana Hoosiers. And, we've got some Big Ten basketball to start conference play. The Big Ten usually does this every year where they have, 2 games in December to sort of kick off conference play before they get into the meat and potatoes of conference play, once the calendar flips. And, you've got Minnesota coming into this one. Off the loss last time out to Santa Clara on a neutral floor, 86-75. It was part of the Acrisure Classic, while Indiana, they took down Bethune-Cookman in their last game, 100-56. This was an Indiana team didn't really take part in an MTE, during Feast Week. They were kind of just going through everything. Darian DeVries was focusing on getting his program where he wanted it. And, Indiana had a little bit of a stretch where they weren't necessarily blowing out inferior competition. And, then they came back. They beat Kansas State at home by 17 points and then blew out Bethune-Cookman, and then all looks right in the world. And now it's sort of I don't want to say a sandwich spot for Indiana, who's feeling themselves off of that Bethune-Cookman win. They have a conference game, and then they play Louisville before another conference game against Penn State. But, this is still the first true road game for Indiana this season, so it is something to be concerned about. But I still think this is an Indiana team is just a far more talented team. Now, Minnesota looked like they were showing some early promise under Nico Medved, but then you realize that, they played 4 teams that were cupcakes. 3 of them were outside the KenPom top 325. And then they had an overtime game against Green Bay, who was a disaster last year. And who has shown a little bit more fight this season. But for me, even though this is the first true road game for Indiana, I just think they're in the much better spot in this game. Minnesota, there's a couple things that stand out to me statistically for Minnesota to where I think this is just a bad matchup for them. Minnesota, they don't necessarily shoot a ton of threes. This is a team that relies on getting to the foul line for a lot of their success. They're actually top 5 in free throw rate nationally on offense, but they're only shooting 66.7%. They're hitting 2 out of every 3 free throws. They're 289th in the country. Indiana defensively has been solid. Could you chalk part of that up to the level of competition? Sure. But you also got to remember, this is an Indiana team that has wins over Marquette and Kansas State already this season. So, I think that is something to sort of keep in mind here. And this is an Indiana team that's still top 15 in adjusted defensive efficiency. They're a really good rebounding team. They're a fantastic 2-point defense. Now, on the other side, you've got Indiana. And what have we known about Darian DeVries' teams in the past? Well, they like to shoot a ton of threes. They make them at a high rate. And what's Minnesota's weakness this season early on? Defending the perimeter. Indiana shooting 37.8% from 3. That's top 50 in the country. They're also 60th in 3-point shot rate, top 100 in 3-point distribution. They have a lot of ways that they can hurt you on the floor. They do a good job of taking care of the basketball. But that 3-point variance is the thing that jumps off the page here. Because like I said, this is an Indiana team that's got a lot of deadly shooters, and Minnesota's defense is 324th in the country in 3-point defense, allowing teams to shoot 38.5% from 3. Minnesota, like I said, they have the stark difference when they've had to take the step up in competition. Now, this is their first true home game against a really good team, so maybe that gets Minnesota up for this one in the barn. But the problem that I have is that you look, 0-4 against teams inside the KenPom top 100. This is going to be the highest ranked team that Minnesota's played this season. Last time we saw Minnesota play a team like this, it was an 83-60 loss to Missouri in a true road game. They also got beat up by Santa Clara in that neutral site tournament. I just think Minnesota's overmatched here. I think that the 3-point barrage, if those shots are falling for Indiana, it's going to be like an avalanche and too much for Minnesota to come back from. I'm going to go with Indiana here. I'm going to lay the points. Now, that is my free pick for this game. Thank you so much for checking out this free pick video. Let me know who you guys like in this game in the comment section below. And remember, if you are looking for my best bets, the games I love the most, the ones that I have the most money on, you can head to Pickdawgz Premium, or you can click the link in the description of this video below to get taken directly to my capper profile. And remember to use the promo code PICK, P-I-C-K, at checkout. Get 15% off your purchase. Best of luck. We'll see you guys soon.